This video will be looking at the movie Hoodwinked and applying media theories such as modernism versus postmodernism, the propaganda model, and audience theories like the hypodermic needle, two-step flow, uses and gratifications, and reception.
Intro to the film Hoodwinked. The film Hoodwinked takes a new twist on the classic Little Red Riding Hood tale. In the film, there is a criminal on the loose who is stealing the recipes from all of the community bakers. An investigation is underway after a wolf named Wolf broke into Granny Puckett's home and attacked Granny and Red, Little Red Riding Hood. During the attack, a lumberjack named Kirk broke through the window screaming. The investigation looks into how all of their stories line up with one another in order to find out the truth about what really happened and who's stealing all the recipes. In the end, the audience discovers it was actually the friendly bunny who had been stealing all the recipes and deceiving the members of the community.
Modernism versus postmodernism.
Modernism is the idea that there is one universal truth that erases a hierarchy and patriarchy in our society, whereas postmodernism believes that modernist ideas of erasing the hierarchy would result in a lack of humanity. The film is postmodern because it takes the classic tale of Little Red Riding Hood and gives it a new lens, where Granny isn't a hopeless old woman, the wolf isn't the villain, and Little Red isn't a defenseless little girl. It also has elements of the childhood tale of the Three Little Pigs, but in this case they're police officers who aren't eaten. You could also see a slight modernist view within the storyline as well. In the film, the detectives are trying to uncover the universal truth, which is who's stealing the recipes. In order to find the truth, the detectives ask 4 different individuals for their sides of the story, their truths. All of the characters have their own truths and own point of views, and when all the truths are combined, they are able to reach a conclusive truth that solves the mystery of who the recipe thief is.
The Propaganda Model. The filters.
Ownership. Ownership looks at who owns the media and understanding that the media won't say anything that goes against their owners because they will lose financial aid. The film was released by the Weinstein Company, which had supported the Democratic Party up until recently when the Democratic Party returned their funding due to the accusations made against Harvey Weinstein. To further the ties between the Democratic Party, the actress who voiced the main character, Red, Anne Hathaway, is also Democratic. One of the other main actors, Patrick Warburton, said in an interview, "I'm a lifelong conservative, but I have liberal views," making him another somewhat supporter of the Democratic Party.
Advertising. Advertising looks at who pays to have their product shown or mentioned in the media. Oftentimes it's a TV show you're watching on a network. The advertisers would be the people who play their ads during the commercial break. In Hoodwinked, the 3 main advertisements that were present in the film were Extreme Sports, Betty Crocker, and to buy from corporations, all of which were shown through the character Granny Puckett. Granny Puckett was a symbol for Betty Crocker, a famous baked goods food production company. Betty Crocker is known for selling pre-made mixes and cookbooks, as does Granny. Within the film, Granny Puckett is a common household name, just as Betty Crocker is a common household name in North America and other parts of the world. Extreme sports were also advertised in the film. When Granny was playing and winning the sports, the preconceived idea of extreme sports are that older people can't participate because they're so extreme. But when Granny was participating and winning the games, it advertises that extreme sports are not just for younger people. Finally, the film advertises purchasing from corporations. When they talk about how Granny had cookbooks, food, and Granny merch for sale, this encourages the audience to buy from bigger companies because Granny is viewed as the good guy, who is able to keep their information and products safe.
Flak. Flak looks at how a media or product is inconvenient for the power and it is discredited. The film discredits police officers through their portrayal of them. They are portrayed as animals who sit around and eat donuts when there is an important investigation going on. They are also viewed as rash and quick to stereotype when the police sheriff automatically blames the wolf for all the crimes without asking the proper questions.
Common enemy.
This part of the propaganda model looks at how powers rally the audience together by finding a common enemy such as immigrants, terrorists, or refugees. In the film, all of the good characters had allied accents, British and American, except for Kirk, who is most likely German. And the enemies in the movie had German accents and were called the Europeans. except for the bunny. However, Kirk is displayed as an airhead character, and the bunny is displayed as a smart, cunning bunny. In a scene where one of the characters named Kirk is doing an audition for a bunion cream, the producer says Kirk sounds like a German pirate in a negative context, further extending the film's agenda to produce people of German background in a negative context.
Audience theories: hypodermic needle, two-step flow, uses and gratifications, and reception.
Hypodermic needle. The hypodermic needle theory emerged in the 1920s after theorists observed the effects of propaganda in World War I. In order for this theory to work, the audience must be passive, willing to listen to the message, and react as intended to it. We can still see this theory in action today by looking at the effect movies have on children. Children are easy targets for this theory to work because they are generally a very passive audience. Children tend to believe what adults say, no matter how crazy it may sound. The hypodermic needle easily describes how Hoodwink captures the children's passive minds into seeing and believing what the film wants them to believe. Two-step flow. The two-step flow theory looks at how media gains the public spotlight, often through famous people who endorse the media or product. The film uses famous actors and actresses such as Anne Hathaway, Glenn Close, and Patrick Warburton in order to promote the film. Uses and gratifications.
This theory looks at reasons why people consume media. The audience views media in order to be educated, identify, integrate and socialize, or escape. The film educates the target audience, which is children, that people aren't as they appear. The big bad wolf that you hear about in stories may not be the villain. The granny may not be a knitting grandma who is weak, and the cute bunny who seems harmless is actually the villain. This film challenges the stereotype of who we think the villain is, and what young and old people are capable of. The audience is able to identify with the main character Red, as well as the story's background. The story is an alternate universe of the classic Little Red Riding Hood tale that many children have heard of at one point or another, making this story recognizable. The target audience is able to identify with Red because throughout the story she is told that she is unable to do certain things because of her age, which is something many children hear throughout their childhood. The film promotes integration and social interactions when children watch it together and connect as a group of youngsters throughout the bonding of the entertainment media. Finally, the film is also a form of escape for the audience. It allows the children to escape from their mundane reality into a make-believe world where animals can talk and grandmas are expert skiers.
Reception theory. This theory looks at the three types of responses that come from the audience when taking in media: the dominant, negotiated, and the oppositional. The dominant tends to agree with whatever the media is telling them. The negotiate sees where they are coming from and meets the media halfway with their own opinions and ideas. And the oppositional disagrees with what that media is telling them. The dominant group can often be related to the hypodermic needle theory because they both look at a passive audience. The film's target audience is a very passive group, as it is given their age, which means that most of the children who watch this film will decode the media in a dominant view. Some ideas that the film show the audience are that people aren't as they appear, police officers are unable to do their jobs, and don't let age restrict what you are capable of.
To finish this video, we have some post-video questions for you to think about. What impact does children's films have on the ideas and mentalities of the younger generations? Have childhood movies impacted your ideas or views? Just for fun, I thought I'd add some bloopers, and yeah, they were all Will. So, without further ado, here are 6 Will bloops. Have fun.
Go. Okay. What are you doing? Stop. Where'd it go?
William!
I lost it again. I don't know. Advertising. Advertising looks at who pays to have their product shown. Okay.
What? You just started laughing!
All of which were shown through the character Granny Puckett. Granny Puckett was a symbol for Betty Crocker, a famous baked goods food Fuck. Reception theory. This theory looks at the 3 types of responses that come from the audience when Reception theory. This theory looks at the three types of responses that come from the audience when taking in media: the dominant, negotiated, and the oppositional.
Why are you laughing?